So firstly, we go with how to make a website responsive, and these are the three different ways to make website responsive. One is like responsive web design using CSS and dynamic serving and separate mobile website. And first we'll go with responsive web design using CSS rules. Using media queries to target different screen sizes and adjust the layout accordingly, and using flexible layouts such as percentage based EM based unit instead of pixel width or pixel based unit to ensure that website can adapt to different screen sizes, and using fluid images or videos that can scale up or down to fit different screen sizes instead of fixed size images and videos that may become pixelized or cut off on smaller screens. Actually, what it is saying, like using flex or flex percentages, EMs, REMs, media queries, simply like using CSS rules, we can make website responsive. So this is what the first one using CSS rules, and second one is like dynamic serving, right? And before jumping into dynamic serving, I want to explain how we are connecting to the server. Let me like um, this is Amazon, right? When I click on Amazon, I'm requesting server to render the page, right? And my last section, I have explained right client server architecture. So this is what I have explained, right? In my last section, like client is to request the server and send server is to send response in form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Um, Here, like when I request on this Amazon, here browser is the client and server send the response in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Generally, like to contain any device over the internet, we need an IP address. Using the IP config command in our command prompt, you can find your IP address as well. So every device connects to internet has unique IP address that helps to identify other devices around. Like I told right to contain any server device, we need the IP address of that. You may have doubt like how we are connecting to Amazon and Google servers without knowing their IP address. See, like if I enter this Google here, so here this is the domain, right? Google www.google.com is the domain. So the browser will contact the internet service provider when I click on this domain. The browser will contact internet service provider, and internet service provider will do DNS search. That is like domain name search to get the IP address of the domain. With that IP address, we will contact the server for communication. Let me explain you clearly. Like so, when I enter this URL, when I click on that URL, internet service provider will do DNS search. Um, and and it will return I address to the browser. Like internet service provider will return address to the browser actually. And then browser will contact and connect to the server. Okay. So, then browser will connect to the server actually. So this is what happened behind the scenes. Okay. When like why we are connecting to the server. So this is the Google, right? Google domain. Like if I want IP address of this, like let's look. Let me get the IP address of this domain. Uh, so so this is the IP address of the Google actually. With the IP address I'm logging, right? I'm not using like www.google.com. So with IP address one I'm getting into that Google, right? So this is how internet service provider will contact will do DNS search, and it will return the IP address to the browser actually. So that's how browser will connect to the server. So now we will jump into this dynamic serving. Um, so dynamic serving is like uh, when the server responds with different HTML or CSS files. Like dynamic serving is a web development technique used to deliver different versioning of a web pages or content based on the device or browser that is requesting the page. So what it is actually. Um, Let me show you practically like uh, login into Amazon, right? Yeah. Yeah. Let me minimize it. So if you observe, it's not response, right? See, it's not wrapping around it around each other. There is no hamburger menu, like it's not responsive, right? Have you wondered why it is not responsive? Because like Amazon using dynamic serving approach. That is like it will render different HTML and CSS files for different devices. Um, Server will identify which device when we are logging in. So based upon that, it will render the pages actually. So if you log in Amazon in your mobile and if you see it, you will be getting this hamburger menu and it's like looks absolutely normal and it looks good actually. So that's what Amazon using here. So that's what dynamic serving is. So next I will go to this another third one like using separate mobile website. Okay. This is like a separate mobile website is a standalone website that is specifically designed and optimized for mobile devices. This type of website is typically built as a separate entity from the desktop version of the website and it is often has a different URL and may have a different design and layout. So what it is like with the example if you see uh, they will be like in this approach they will be like it have different URL and it will also like different URL like if you see dynamic serving approach the URL is same but it will render different websites for the mobile and PC, right? But here the URL will get changed actually. If you see Facebook, it is using this separate mobile website actually. So I type Facebook here. Okay. So we'll be getting www.facebook.com, right? So when we enter Facebook in our mobile, you will be seeing like m.facebook.com. Like the URL will be get changed actually for mobile. So that is for the better user experience for the user accessing the site from the mobile devices. So mobile devices may have simplified features or like it may have different features than the desktop version. So and it may load faster as well, I think, here in the mobile. So this is what separate mobile website is. So so this is the three ways to make website responsive. So any doubts in this, like, or can I go to the next topic that is like API?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So like this is like what is an API actually? So API stands for Application Programming Interface. Like if you say so in the simpler terms, an API acts as an intermediary between two different software applications, allowing them to exchange data and communicate with each other. API can be also used for variety purposes like including retrieving data from database and sending notifications and integrating with third-party services like payment gateways and social media. We used to see right when we're logging into any website, we'll be getting login via Google, login via LinkedIn. So they are using like third-party APIs like Google, LinkedIn APIs to they are integrating in their website actually. So that is how usually the API response will be getting from APIs like in the form of JSON, HTML or XML or plain text as well. So internally, we will be not seeing that API response when we log in into this. It will call internally that APIs actually. So those things will get integrated in our backend logic, those APIs. So it's all about like APIs will go into this request methods and API. API typically define a set of request method and response format that client can use it to interact with the API. Here some of the common request method and response format used in API. So these are like few methods which have placed here like get, put, post, delete. So get is like this method is to retrieve information from the API. Like if client sends a get request to an API endpoint, it is like requesting data from the server. Okay. So For example, a client could send a GET request to an API that retrieves a list of products from many e-commerce website. Okay, so mostly a will response will be getting from APIs like JSON only. So XML like nowadays no one will be using this XML, like mostly it is JSON, JavaScript object notation. And post is like this method is to submit data to the API. Like suppose if your client sends a post request to the API endpoint, it is submitting data to the server. This typically used to create a new resource on the server. Like for example, the client could send a post request to an API endpoint that creates a new user account. We generally will be using will be registering right for the new application. We'll be giving our first name, last name, phone number, all these things, right? For that, they may use Post API to post the details to the database. So, and also they won't post these details like in plain text, like passwords, and they will be using this encryption algorithm. Like they used to hash those values and they used to save in the database. And then next is like put, right? So this method is to update an existing resource on the server. Like if client sends a put request to an API endpoint, it is updating an existing resource on the server. Like uh, like if you want to update address, then you can use put, like updating an existing user resources. Okay, and delete like this method is delete a resource from the server. If client like suppose if client sends a delete request to an API endpoint, it is deleting a resource from the server. For example, a client could send a delete request to an API that removes a product from e-commerce. Okay, and also we have a patch rather a request method that is like update. It is like partial update. So if you say put is like updating address, right? If you want to update first name or phone number, it is like subset of an address, right? So then we can use patch actually. That haven't included here. So because why like these are the four methods that are like majorly these are the four methods we will be using that actually. That's the reason I haven't included patch. Patch is also another method. So I've told you right, AP response will be getting in JSON, XML, HTML, and plain text. So so JSON is in the sense like JavaScript object notation. It is like having key value pairs. Um, and it is a common response format using the APIs. And XML is extensible markup language, another common response format used in APIs. And generally, like response will be getting from SOAP APIs used to be in XML. Okay, and HTML used to fetch your content on web page. Like few APIs will render this HTML content as well. And the APIs can also render plain text, respond with the plain text as well. So from the APIs, we'll be getting response. We may get we also get response address and status codes. We don't know status code, right? 400, 404, not 4, 400 battery plus 200 success, 500 internet server errors, and 201 faded. So we'll be getting response in the form of status code, and response also we used to get in the form of JSON, XML, HTML, or plain text. So these are like response format for the API. So this is how JSON will look like. So ID is the key and 123 is the value of it. And XML, it is like we XML will be like it has to be parent tag. So within the parent, the sub elements will go actually. So user is a parent tag. So ID and ID is like right? ID name, email, phone. Those are like within the parent. So like child elements to the parent. And another one is like plain text and HTML. We guys know right HTML like doc type HTML, HTML head, body. So all the content which we are placing on the body will display in the browser, and doc type tells the browser like we are using HTML. So these things we have seen, right? Yeah, yeah, this we have seen already. That's the end of my demo.